says, I don't know if I got a mic. So here's the question, guys. He said, DWI arrest is made. Arrestee removed from the scene and is processed. After dealing with the driver, can the arresting officer return and search the vehicle for elements of the DWI crime? All right.
I'm listening, but I'm trying to.
There's a lot going on here. So your question doesn't tell us, what did we do with the car?
Let's see here. I'm trying to read the question. Sorry, I think he's blanking out here.
All right. Legally parked roadside, we have keys. So here's what I'll tell you, right? So I got DUI, I pull this guy over, I get him out, it legally parks, I pull him out, we go through this thing. Ultimately, I arrest him for DUI, then I transport him, I process him, I do whatever I do with him, then I return back to the vehicle and search it. You're going to be in a lot of trouble because a defense attorney is going to have a field day with that. What happened to that car while you were gone? Right? Who else has access to it? Anything that you find in that vehicle, I'm going to make the argument it wasn't in there when you stopped my client, and it was in, somebody else put it in there. You can't say they didn't, right? I don't know. So I think better practice is I pull over this DUI driver, right? I make the contact with him. We tow the vehicle back to our secured lot. I process the guy. And the question is, can I then search that vehicle without a warrant? Well, first off, you're going to have to ask what legal theory are you operating under? If you're operating under the Carroll Doctrine, well, then you've got to convince me that you have probable cause to believe there's evidence of a crime inside that vehicle. And that's not a hard standard necessarily. It's a fair probability to believe that evidence of DUI is inside that vehicle. And so what could you be looking for? Open containers, empty containers, receipts that say when they bought booze at a bar, how much, right? Okay, cool. Chambers versus Maroney is the case that says if you've got PC on the side of the road and you can search the vehicle out subject to the automobile exception, then if we transport the vehicle or tow the vehicle back to a secured lot, well, the automobile exception still applies because of the reduced expectation of privacy in the vehicle. Now, your policy may be more restrictive, right? Mine says if we tow a vehicle from a scene back to a secured lot, we'll get a warrant. No reason not to get a warrant in that case. There is no exigency, but per the letter of the law, you are not required. Now, if you are on scene and you are conducting your investigation and another officer is there and you develop that PC for his arrest, the other officer can then go up to that vehicle and search that vehicle incident to arrest, as long as the subject is out of handcuffs and within reaching distance of the vehicle. Now, I don't teach that. That's a horrible, horrible practice. Don't ever do it. So if you want to rely on Arizona versus Gant, you're going to need to convince me that you have reason to believe that there is evidence of the crime of arrest inside that vehicle. However, I would suggest that you do that search on scene, not come back later to the vehicle, because that's adding a whole nother element to the court's holding in Gant, and it's not going to work out well for you.
Hey, John, I want to touch on one thing. Geez, I can't see who put it in. Someone talked about the inventory component to that. So if your statute or your policy says if you make an arrest for a DUI, you will or shall tow that car and inventory, there's no decision in it, that's fine. Do your thing. But if there is any ability for you to decide tow or not tow, just make sure that whenever you do an inventory for DUI or for anything, make sure that you are not using the inventory to work around the Fourth Amendment to get into that car for evidence type searches. Okay, if say you don't have the PC or you don't have Gant, you don't have any way to get inside that car, no consent. Think about our crew acronym that we talk about here. You're like, well, I could just inventory it, even though you normally would. The courts will see through that. So just be very careful in trying to get into cars for evidence under inventory. It's not going to work. All right.